Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and it's finally here. It's finally here. The Irregular Magic High School, aka Mahoka Koko no Retose. It's finally here. I've been waiting for this forever. My very first video was a video announcing its anime adaptation, or talking about the announcement of its anime adaptation. It's probably my most watched video. I know a lot of other people are looking forward to it, and it's finally here. And the best part about it is that I got exactly what I wanted. It's getting 26 episodes, all right? 26 episodes, so it's two core lasting over 2 seasons, spring and summer. It's going to be awesome. So we know for a fact we're going to get the 9 schools competition, right? And we might even get the Yokohama disturbance arc, all right? Because the first arc won't take that long. Because in the manga adaptation, which is based off of the light novel, just like the anime is, in the manga adaptation, this beginning stuff along with the first arc only lasts 22 chapters. Okay, and this episode alone covered 3.5 of them, right? And it skipped a bunch of stuff. Not a bunch, but it skipped some information, some stuff that isn't really necessary to show, and some information that I'll talk about later on at the end when I'm done talking about the episode in general, like actually reviewing it, because and the reason I skipped this because it was just like a lot of information in the series. They didn't want to dump a bunch of information on people who are just seeing the series for the first time, and they don't want to push them away. So they probably took some out, and then they're probably going to add it in later. But I figured just in case they don't, I'll talk about it now. Something stuff that would be helpful to know. But yeah, this episode covered 3.5 chapters, which means that the first arc should only take around 5 episodes, maybe 6 max. Right? So it should only take around 5 episodes. And considering that action scenes in manga take up more pages than they do seconds in anime, like it'll take like 2 chapters to do action in a manga, but it'll take like less than an episode to do it. Like it might even take like only a few minutes. Like you know what I mean. Like action in manga, it takes more pages to draw out certain things than it takes seconds to actually and show it animated. All right, so since there are action scenes in here, it might even be like 5 episodes. So it'll probably be 5 episodes, not 6. So if you're one of those people who you're on the fence with Mahoka Koko no Tose, if you're thinking, it's kind of started off slow. It's not bad, but it's kind of good. It looks enjoyable. I don't know if it'll actually be good though. Like if you're one of those people who are on the fence and you're not really sure whether or not to watch it, believe me when I say you should watch it, because this is probably going to be like, I won't go as far as to say it's better than Jojo, but it'll probably be like the second best anime of the season. Like actually, because the way the series works is that the first arc that we're going to be doing here is the least good arc in the series, all right? Which doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean that by any means, all right? It just means out of all the arcs, this one is the least good. Because what tends to happen with the regular Magic High School is that each arc is better than the last. So it's almost like an exponential curve. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better, right? So, which is why I want the Yokohama disturbance arc to be animated, because that way you'll get the best. You'll just keep seeing how good it gets. And the arc after that, the visitor chapter, which there's no way we're getting that in this season unless they pull some freezing vibrations crap and like and completely butcher the arcs. But literally butcher, like cut it up, put it like mix it up, put it in random places it's not supposed to be, and like literally butcher it like they did with freezing vibrations. But yeah, if you're on the fence with this anime, you should definitely keep with it. After like the first arc will be decent, it'll be cool. First 5 episodes is all it'll take. The next 20 will be either the 9 schools competition or the 9 schools competition and the Yokohama disturbance arc. So it'll be really good. So if you're on the fence, I recommend you keep watching, because it's gonna get really legit. Even if it does start off slow, which, speaking of starting off slow, I should probably actually get into the episode. It's been like almost 5 minutes already. So this episode starts off just talking about some of the history of the verse of the world. There's been a third world war. Magicians are popping up now. Essentially, all you really need to take out of this is that because of the world war, some borders have changed in countries, and some of the names have been changed. For instance, the USA is now the USNA. China's now the Great Asian Alliance or the Pan Asian Alliance, depending on which translation you read. You know, those are pretty much the main things you need to take out of it. I don't think all of that wasn't said in there, but that's pretty much what you need to take. That's all. That's all that stuff is relevant for. Just giving you the history and how magicians came up and why the borders have changed to this day and why the names have changed, stuff like that. That's why that's important. And after that, while the narration continues, we actually see a part of Miyuki's and Tatsuya's past, all right, which I was surprised by. I didn't think they'd put that in there already. They're already foreshadowing stuff. They even showed you a certain event happening with a certain attack. An attack which literally foreshadows multiple things. An event, an actual attack slash ability, links between different people. The story is very, very good. It's complex in a good way. I mean, it shows you that there's been a lot of thought put into it. And one event like this is actually foreshadowing multiple things, right? So again, if you should just trust me if you're on the fence. The story is great. It's not just an action series with romance, blah blah blah, romantic comedy, school setting, blah blah blah. It's not that. It has action and it has a great story too, with great character development throughout the series. So if you're on the fence, you should stick with it. All right. But after we get that glimpse into Miyuki's and Tatsuya's past, we see Miyuki and Tatsuya in the current day. They're on the campus of First High, which is one of the 9 magic schools. It's like the official name is something like University Affiliated First High School Academy of Magic, something like that, something crazy like that. It's First High, right? It's First High, right? And Miyuki and Tatsuya, they're on the campus there, and Miyuki's trying to say that Tatsuya should be the first year representative instead of her, because while Miyuki got the top scores when it comes to practical skills, in other words, like magic skill, Tatsuya got the top scores in all of like the written exams and stuff like that. So Miyuki's skill when it comes to actual magic and ability, but Tatsuya's skill when it comes to this right here. All right, and Miyuki's trying to say that he should be the freshman representative instead of her. However, Tatsuya's like, no, this school cares more about practical abilities and actual like intelligence. So no, it's not gonna happen, right? Which you see that amount of caring about practical skills after the two of them separate, and Tatsuya ends up. There's a scene where Tatsuya's pretty much hyping up First High and saying, you know, for you to get into this school, you have to be impressive. You have to be really good. As a matter of fact, I barely made it in, you know. And there are these balloons that passed by him, all right. And they call him a weed, and they're pretty much giving you a taste of the kind of discrimination that goes on in this school, because the blooms are the people who have that skill. They have that flower emblem on their shoulders, on their chest, right? They have that emblem, and that means that they are the best of the best when it comes to that year, in that year when it comes to using magic. And the weeds are like the reserves, as they call them. They're Tatsuya. They're not as good as magic, and they're just there, just in case. And I'll get into more detail about that later. Like I said, there's some information that they skipped over, so I'll talk about that at the end once I've actually gone through the episode. But yeah, so you get a little bit of taste of the discrimination there, and what Tatsuya means when he says that they care about practical skills the most, right? But you also see here the kind of relationship Miyuki and Tatsuya have. It's clearly one of those series where incest is wincest, okay? It never, if that could be a turnoff for you, or you might like it. Personally, I think if you're thinking it's a turnoff for you, don't think that way, because it never goes as far as like Kyosuke and Kirino from Orimo, aka My Little Sister Can't Possibly Be This Cute, right? They never go as far as those two do, but they go far enough where it's like funny and interesting, and it's like you're actually thinking like these two would be a great couple if they weren't brother and sister. It goes far enough to make you think that, but it doesn't go far enough where you're like creeped out by it, like, yeah, this is kind of gross. All right, it doesn't go that far. And as a matter of fact, it's mostly used for comedy, which as it was here. So yeah, so don't be too creeped out by that. It's not that. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, after Tatsuya, those two separate. Tatsuya sees the blooms, discrimination, I already talked about this. Then Mayumi shows up. Mayumi Saigusa, all right, and she's the student council president. Obviously, she's a bloom. And she's from the Saigusa family, which is one of the numbers. Okay, the numbers essentially are families with numbers in their name, literally. Like Saigusa has 7 in it. Like whether like it's legit the word or it's just like kanji, a number is in the name of any family who is in the numbers. So Saigusa has 7 in it, and in the manga they mentioned that it could also be read as Nanakusa, I think, which Nana is 9. So you've got like yeah, you see numbers, right? So that's what the numbers are. They're families with numbers in their name. One of the numbers is the Ichijo family, so you know Ichi 1. Yeah. So yeah. So that's what the numbers are. They're families with numbers in their name, and all of the numbers are incredibly skilled at magic. Like the weeds are down here, the blooms are up here, and then even amongst the blooms, the numbers are like up here. All right, they're the skilled amongst the skilled. All right, so yeah. Um, I'll get into that later as well because they kind of skipped over that explanation as well. Um, Also, you see here that Mayumi recognized Tatsu's name when he introduced himself. That's also something they skipped over, but it's not that big of a deal. So I'll mention it at the end, but it's really not that big of a deal. After that, Tatsu goes to the auditorium. And you see more of that discrimination that was brought up before. It's like old school racism, old fashioned racism. The whites are in front, the blacks are in the back. Well, now it's the blooms that are in the front, and it's the weeds that are in the back. And Tatsuya mentions here that the weeds, the people who are most conscious of the discrimination, they're just deciding to accept it because they know, the blooms are better than us. So even if we do try to fight back, they'll just kind of destroy. They'll just destroy. There's nothing we could do, even if we tried. So we might as well just accept it and try to enjoy our school life. So they kind of just accept it. And once Tatsu sits down, we end up being introduced to Mizuki and Erika. All right, and Erika, her last name is Chiba, and she's a member of the numbers as well. However, you see, she doesn't have that emblem on her shoulder, so she's not a bloom. She's a weed. All right, so Erika being a number, yet also being a weed, it's clear that there's more to her situation than meets the eye. And you'll get to learn more about her situation in the Yokohama disturbance arc, and you might even get some foreshadowing for it in the 9 schools competition, maybe. Maybe I don't really remember, but you definitely get it in the Yokohama disturbance arc. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't want to spoil anyone or give anything away. But there's more to her situation than meets the eye, obviously, because I just said numbers are skilled amongst the skilled. Yet Erika's a number and she's a weed, so obviously there's more to that than meets the eye. And Mizuki, Tatsu actually notices something about Mizuki's glasses that it seems off. He's like, in the manga, what he said was that she's wearing glasses. People in this age don't need to wear glasses because they could just get corrective surgery. Like everyone pretty much gets corrective surgery to correct their vision if they ever need glasses. So you never see anyone with glasses ever, So Mizuki having glasses is weird, and he notices that obviously because they're freaking huge. All right, she's got freaking glasses like this, all on her eyes are freaking huge. All right. And after Miyuki's speed, Mizuki, there's only a 1-letter difference. I'm gonna keep mixing their names up. I know them apart very well, but their names are so similar. I accidentally switch them up sometimes. But after Miyuki's speech, Mizuki, Erika, Tatsuya, they're all talking in the hallway, and Mizuki, she finds out that Tatsuya and Miyuki are brother and sister. They're siblings, which you think would be obvious because they both have the last name Shiba, but apparently it's not. So she finds that out, and Tatsuya asks her how she knew, and she says that she was able to tell because they have similar auras. All right, and this confirms for Tatsuya what he suspected earlier about her glasses. It turns out she has hypersensitivity to spirit particle emission, which I'll get into more detail about later. But essentially, just to give you something now, spirit particles are essentially the things that make up magic. All right, if you were to break up magic into particles, they would be spirit particles essentially. Just like everything is made up of something, cells, atoms, particles, everything is made up of something. Well, magic is made up of spirit particles. Psions, pushions, things like that. So and she has hypersensitivity to them. And Tatsuya says that because of that ability, it would be dangerous for her to observe him for too long because she might end up finding out his secret, which tells you that there's something unique about Tatsuya and the magic that he uses. He's not good at magic, but the magic that he can use there's just something unique about him that she would be able to find out by observing the magic particles in the air, like around him and stuff like that, right? So, um, yeah. So again, more foreshadowing of different events and things like that. Um, but after that, Miyuki shows up along with Mayumi and Hattori. Hattori, I'm awful with my Japanese art, so let me just say it the English way. Hattori, all right. Hattori, he's clearly not the biggest fan of weeds. He's like he and Mayumi were trying to get uh they were trying to get Miyuki to finish a bunch of not paperwork but just get things done. They had stuff they need to get done, but Mayumi says, we'll just finish it tomorrow. We'll just leave it with introductions here today. We'll finish this later, right? And Hatsuri is obviously not happy about this. He once they do leave, he turns back, gives Tati this look like you know something's going to happen between them. You know something's going to go down. You just know it, all right? So, so that's something to look forward to, which actually might happen next episode. I think it will. Yeah, I think so. Cool. Yeah. So sorry, sorry, but I'm thinking back to how awesome it was. I'm thinking, awesome. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. All right, we get to see that next week, so soon. Yes. Yeah. So Miyuki gets introduced to Erika and Mizuki, and there's this one scene. It was a very exaggerated romantic scene between Tatsuya and Miyuki that was meant to be exaggerated because it was meant to be comedic. You could I know I was laughing at this. You hear the music in the background. You see the light shining down, and Erika's just Miyuki. I did it again. Mizuki's just blushing. Her face is just beet red. Not only is her face red, but she even has the lines going down. Usually you see people choosing the lines or just the face in general. But with her, it was both. That's how embarrassed she was to be looking at these two. And Erica's just sitting there like, I know. So that was funny. Exaggerated. It was exaggerated on purpose to be comedic. So like I said before, it's used in a comedic way. That's what most of the time it's used in a comedic way. Unless it's used for character development to explain how the relationship got to that point, which is hinted at in a couple different points in this episode. One, in the beginning, like I mentioned before, that in that peek into their past, and the second time is actually in the opening itself, Rising Hope by Lisa. If you don't know Lisa, she did the opening for the first opening for Fate Zero, and she also did the first opening for Sword Art Online. So that's her. That opening that played at the end of the episode, you get a glimpse of it there too, short glimpse, which I won't point it out because that'll if you. Yeah, I just don't want to point it out. If you didn't notice it, I want you to notice it on your own. But yeah, there was just that scene was just funny. So I wanted to point it out. But later on, Miyuki and Tatsuya, they're at their house, and Miyuki's actually in a bad mood, right? And the reason she's in a bad mood is because she got a call from their father and from Sayuri, which that alone tells you something of the fact that they're referring to their mother by name. Not even. I don't even think they used honorifics. I think Tatsuya just called her Sayuri. So that tells you something about the relationship those two have with their family, and the relationship their family has with them. Because as Miyuki goes on to explain, they called her to congratulate her on getting in the first time, being the first year representative, I should say. Freshmen aren't first years. First years are actually sophomores because in Japan there's 3 years of high school. So it's just sophomore, junior, senior. Then freshmen are actually still in middle school as third years. So yeah, in case you didn't know that, there you go. But she's the first representative, so they congratulated her on that and getting into school at all in the first place. But they didn't even contact Tatsuya at all, right? They didn't contact him at all, and Miyuki's annoyed about that. All right, she's getting in a bad mood, and it's because the way it is with Miyuki. As you'll be able to, this will become more and more apparent as the series goes on. But we've already got glimpses of it here. Is that Miyuki recognizes Tatsuya's skill and believes that he is severely underestimated by everybody and that he doesn't get the respect he deserves for the skills that he has. All right, so it annoys her to no end. It's just incredibly frustrating when people do that to him and they treat him like he's nothing, like he's a weed essentially. So she gets angry here. She gets frustrated, and her magic actually starts to go out of control a little bit. Her ice magic activates, and stuff starts to freeze, and Tatsuya has to calm her down, right? And what we learn from Tatsuya here is that one of the reasons why his father probably didn't call him is because his father didn't even want him to go to high school in the first place, which says something else about their family and the relationship that they have. Because I mean, you've heard of people not going to college before, but for a parent to tell their child, "I don't want you going to high school either," that's weird. There's clearly something going on here. There's clearly something going on here. All right. There's obviously more to this family relationship than meets the eye. Right. There's a lot of things in this episode that's more than meets the eye. Erika and her family, Tatsuya, Miyuki, their family. Actually, families in general. Families in the series in general. It's actually interesting to see the relationships that a bunch of different families in this series have. I don't think there are barely any people in this anime, in this series, with like normal family relationships. I think Leo and Mizuki might be like the only ones amongst like the main characters who have been around for a decent amount of time at least. Like they might be the only normal ones. Everyone else has some strange relationship, with their family. It's interesting to see actually, and you'll get more of that as more families get introduced. So that'll be interesting for you guys, especially if you're an anime only viewer. But after that foreshadowing and stuff like that, we end up going to the next morning. Tatsuya goes to this temple to get his morning training with Yakumo, who is a monk and a ninja. Oh no, he's not a ninja. He's a shinobi. He made that clear. He's like, no, I'm not a ninja. I'm a traditional shinobi. All right, and he's able to use ninjutsu, which is a form of, in the series at least, a form of ancient magic. And if it's a form of ancient magic, that must mean that there are other forms of ancient magic. So that's something to look forward to for you guys. But when we first see Yakumo, he appears next to Miyuki. He's teasing her. He's acting like a pervert, which, I mean, he is a pervert, but he's not as hardcore a pervert as you normally see. He can, if he wants to, he can turn it off, all right? He can turn it off if he wants to, all right? As a matter of fact, right now, he's pretty much just trying to tease Miyuki, all right? He's trying to tease Miyuki and get the attention of Tatsuya, all right? Which he does, because after Tatsuya takes out all the disciples, he goes after Yakumo, and those two spar. It was pretty legit hand-to-hand combat, too. Tatsuya did this cool move once where he like spun in midair so that he can and flip so that he can land on his feet. It was pretty legit, right? So that and keep in mind that there was pretty much no magic used there. There was so little magic used that you can barely even tell it was used. If Yakumo didn't tell you, oh, I might not be able to just use taijutsu to fight you, Tatsuya. If he didn't say that, you probably wouldn't have even noticed that that was used. And as a matter of fact, you still might not have noticed because it was pretty hard to notice. If you look back, you can see like spells being activated at Yakumo's hands when he's blocking Tatsuya and stuff. So there's barely any magic used, and there's such a wide variety of magic in this series that the variety of the fights is also high, and it's just every fight is unique, and it's just really awesome, So the act and the story, it's all awesome. If you can tell, I'm really trying to get people to stick with the series if they don't like it at first. A lot of people, I'm sure, do like it at first. But if you are one of those people that don't like it at first, maybe you think, Tatsuya, he's just a Gary Stew. Like, no. I'm trying to get you to stick with the series so that you can realize that you're wrong. No offense. But after Tatsuya's training session with Yakumo, he actually ends up getting beaten by Yakumo because Yakumo's pretty much a master when it comes to hand-to-hand combat and taijutsu, stuff like that. So, not surprising. But Miyuki uses magic to clean him and herself up, and they end up heading to school afterwards. And that's when they meet Leo. And his relationship with Erika is off to a rocky start, to say the least. It's definitely funny watching those two interact with each other. They're like that throughout the entire series. It's hilarious. But while they're interacting with each other, we see this boy, Mikihiko, smile in the background, and he's a character you'll be introduced to later. Telling you his name isn't that big of a. If you're thinking, oh my god, did he just spoil me? No, no, don't worry about it. All I did was tell you his name. It's not like, oh, he's a member of I don't even know. Like he's not like some famous dude who's gonna no no, just no. It's by definition, I guess it's technically a spoiler, but no, it's really not. So don't worry about that. Yeah, so we see him smiling in the background, so you know he's gonna come up again later. And we see this teacher walk in. As a matter of fact, she's the counselor at the school. Her name's Haruka Ono. In the manga, she actually introduced herself as Haruka Ono, the counselor at the school, and she actually had a few lines, but they skipped them here, so what are you gonna do? But after that, they're at lunch. Mizuki, Erika, I did it again. Mizuki, Erika, Tatsuya, and Leo. All right. And Miyuki actually she comes over and she wants to sit with him. However, Murasaki and some other balloons say, no, 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 those dudes are weeds. You shouldn't be sitting with you shouldn't be sitting with people like them. You should be sitting with people like us, people who are like you, balloons. You don't want to hang out with them too often, or you might start to, go down yourself. You don't want that. You should stick with us. All right. And it's just like this. The discrimination is so blatant. Like the one dude literally said we should draw a line between course 1 and course 2 students. Course 1 being the balloons, course 2 being the weeds. So he literally said, we should draw a line between us so that they know their place pretty much. Like it's the discrimination is so blatant. It's just surprising. Like it's not going as far as Hamatora levels, but it's still pretty like surprising how these high schoolers can be like this to each other, and they end up in the manga. It didn't happen this quickly. There was like a short scene in between, and they took it out. I don't blame them. I would have taken it out too. But after this lunch scene, they end up going outside and having a confrontation there. All right, and Student Murasaki, I mean, he just makes you want to hate him. He's so good at making you hate him. I mean, just like look at his design. It's just the dude is clearly not all of that when it comes to looks and stuff. Yet he's acting like he's the real deal, Titus O'Neil. Like he's acting like he's a big shot. Like you're looking at this guy. He's like his design is nothing impressive. Like you see people who actually have actual thought put into their designs, and Murasaki just looks like another character. But he's acting like he's all of that, and it's just like he's not. So it just pisses you off to see him act that way. You just want to see him get his comeuppance. All right, and not only did they not want Miyuki to sit with the weeds, they didn't even want her to go home with them, even though she lives with Tatsuya. That's how extreme their disliking towards weeds are, their discrimination. All right. And he's like, all right, you know what? Well, pretty much Leo's trying to say, you think you're better than us. How about you prove it? And Mizuki's saying, we're all first years. Exactly how far apart from us do you think you are? We're all just getting started here. All right, you're not that much better than us. So he decides to prove that he's better than them, and he does his quick draw. He draws his gun style CAD, which is a casting assistant device. They didn't really go into too much detail about that. I'll go into it later. But he draws his gun style CAD. There are different types of CADs, or CADs. I'll just call them CADs. It's simpler. But he draws his CAD. He's about to use magic, and Tatsuya thinks, oh man, I'll have to step in and do something about it. And he was pretty confident too. So if he tried, he would have succeeded. Because he was confident about that. Tatsuya doesn't seem like the person who'd be so stupid as to underestimate a difference in strength, or think he's better than he really is. He was confident he could stop it, so he really could have, right? But he doesn't need to. Leo actually goes over and he was going to stop him, but then Erika comes out of nowhere and boom, knocks the gun away, beats him to it. So they're showing you already we might be weeds, but we're clearly able to take care of you. All right, so throughout the series, you get this kind of theme where the weeds are looked down upon, but slowly but surely people start to realize, they're actually they don't actually suck as much as we thought they did. Because and it's actually similar to Hunter x Hunter in the sense that you might be stronger than someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll beat them because it's all about strategy. It's all about the type of magic you use, whether people know the type of magic you use, the type of strategies you use. It's all stuff like that. So, you don't need to be stronger than someone to win a fight. You can be weaker and still win. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that kind of thing here. And after that, after Murasaki gets taken care of, we see this girl Honoka, who will introduce herself next week. We see her, she activates her cat, she's about to activate magic. And she ends up, Tatsuya was going to stop her, but she ends up getting stopped by Mayumi and Mari. Right, Mayumi, we met her earlier, student council president, and we meet Mari here. She's the leader of the disciplinary committee, pretty much. That's what they are. And they're informing them, like, you should know this by now. I mean, it's only day one, but you should still know this. This is like rule number one, all right? Magic on campus like this is forbidden, all right? And it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because you think about it, magic is not a toy. Like, you can legit kill people with this, right? It's serious. And of course, there are some magics that are like weaker and like you won't kill people, but if you show that you can't control yourself using weaker magic, like following the rules then what's to say you will be able to control yourself when you actually get angry and you actually try and hurt somebody? All right, so when you show that you can't control yourself and you show no regard for the rules and you just use magic whenever you freaking feel like it, that's a serious offense in that school, and it's grounds for, depending on how serious, suspension or even expulsion from the school. All right, so magic that's a big offense, right? And Mari and Mayumi are about to throw down the hammer on them. All right, but Tatsuya walks up to Mari and actually smooth talks their way out of it, all right? He's able to deduce, just with the stuff he's seen in those few seconds, that Murasaki is in fact Murasaki, a member of the Murasaki family, because the Murasaki family is famous for their quick draw. So the way he saw Murasaki draw, he was able to figure out, oh, he's a Murasaki. So he's able to lie to Mari about saying, well, he's a member of the Murasaki family there, and their quick draw is so famous. We asked him to demonstrate for us, so we're not actually fighting or anything like that, And she says, is that right? Well, how about the girl over there? How about Honoka? And though she was about to use attack-type magic, and Tatu's, it was, that magic is actually flash-type magic, and we asked her to demonstrate it because of the brightness of it. Like, we wanted to see the actual magic itself. Like, she wasn't actually trying to do anything to us, So he makes up a lie about that. And Mari's like, wait, so you were able to figure out what type of magic she was using by reading the activation sequence, which is that sequence of it's data, pretty much. It's data about the magic you're using because, like I said, a CAD is a casting assistant device. There we go, casting assistant device. It essentially helps you use magic. All right. So, and the sequence around it, the data is different for each type of magic you use. And by reading that data, by reading the activation sequence, you can determine what type of magic a person is using. And that is a rare ability. Because imagine if people in wars were using magic, if they could figure out what magic you were going to use, they'd be able to counter you perfectly. It would render what I said earlier useless about not knowing a person's strategy or their magic, So reading an activation sequence, that's a rare ability. And Tatsuya is, like I said before, he's got it up here. He's smart. He's very good at stuff like that, all right? Which is what he tells Mari, all right? So he's able to figure out what magic exactly that Honoka was going to use and make up a lie about it, all right? And Mari, she knows that Tatsuya is trying to deceive her. She knows that very, very well. However, seeing as though his explanation makes perfect sense, and she has no proof that he's lying, she just has to let him go. There's nothing. She knows he's lying, but she still can't do anything about it because she has no proof he's lying because the story is so good. All right. And the episode ends with that, and then Rising Hope playing, the opening, all right, which is awesome, by the way. Opening, awesome, all right. You can see Leo doing some cool stuff there. You see Erica doing her swordswoman thing, All right. Like the freaking pirate rap in One Piece. You see Usopp doing that marksman thing. No, this time it's Erica doing her swordswoman thing. All right. Oh my god, Erica's awesome. All right. Let me stop. Let me stop. We saw Erica doing stuff, Leo doing stuff. We saw. Well, actually, no. Let me not say that other person who we saw doing that like lightning type thing. You could probably tell. He might be able to tell, but I won't mention it. And we saw Tati doing some legit stuff too. So the opening was really good. I loved it. I loved it. But yeah, that's how the episode ended, and it'll continue where it left off last week, probably showing how that tense situation ends up getting resolved. Plus, Honika's like legit going to introduce herself the next episode too. So, which again, not really that big of a spoiler, not a big deal. So so don't get too mad. But yeah. That's it for this review, this incredibly long review. So yeah, as for this episode in general, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was cool, and I give that extra 0.5 for all the foreshadowing things that they did, which will come up again later. So yeah, I'll give this episode a 7.5 out of 10, and that's it. I won't keep you guys here for any longer. It's been way too long already, but yeah, that's it, you guys. This episode gets a 7.5 out of 10. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys next week for the next episode of the Irregular at Magic High School. See ya.